Come here guys, check this out. I'm in the brand new all-electric Ford Explorer, and have a look at this screen. It's called the Sync Move, and it does move up and down.
Ford has turned the Volkswagen ID.4 into the Ford Explorer EV. I think the Explorer EV looks better than the ID.4. Now, I don't think it looks amazing, but I think it looks better than the ID.4. Do you agree? What do you think? Ford has electrified another classic blue oval vehicle. It's obviously taken the Mustang name. I don't really like that personally, but they did that. They turned that into an EV, Mustang Mach-E, and now they're doing the same thing. This time, it's the Explorer, which has been reinvented as a battery-powered SUV for Europe, where it will share showroom space with the Mustang Mach-E.
The new Explorer is the latest model in Ford's European lineup. It's a mid-sized crossover that has room for 5, it'll sit slightly below the more premium Mach-E, and will be built in Germany with Europeans in mind. In fact, its job is to help with the complete reinvention of the Ford brand on this continent.
Key features on the Explorer include the floating roofline and contrasting pillars, smooth surfaces, big wheel arches, and there's a larger logo on the front as well. So does this new electric version look better than the outgoing Explorer? Tell us in the comments below.
Ford say the new Explorer captures the spirit of the original, but with a modern twist. Whereas the old cars had a large, distinctive upper grille, this, being all electric, doesn't actually need one. So they installed what they call the Shield, a smooth front end which is designed to help aerodynamic efficiency. This also has enabled them to play with where they place the Ford badge. In this case, they've been able to place it front and center and enlarge it slightly to help promote the brand. If you look closely, you'll also see Explorer written in this black section just up top, and there are no dynamic cooling aids down the bottom. It's all fairly simple. The aim of it is to have a strong, confident, but not too aggressive stance. If you're wondering whether it has a front trunk, well, it looks like it should because it's such a large frontal area, but because it's based on the VW MEB platform, that sadly isn't the case.
So why have Ford done this? What's the purpose? I mean, really, is it really that different in size to a Mach-E? Well, it's odd that Ford now has two similarly sized 5-seat electric SUVs for the European market, and even stranger that they're entirely unrelated. Instead of spinning the Explorer from the Mach-E platform, Ford created its newest SUV, well, it didn't really, by pairing with Volkswagen. Underneath the square-jawed exterior is the ID.4, which is sitting on an MEB platform. But the truth is, it's not just the MEB platform. There's really mostly Volkswagen DNA in this car. Your average European driver wouldn't know the fact that this is actually an ID.4 reskinned to be a Ford Explorer. Ford avoids the ID.4's curves for a much tougher, square look that better fits with the Explorer name. It looks like a much more practically sized car for families.
Inside, you'd struggle to notice much resemblance to the VW brand. The centerpiece of the Explorer is a 15-inch portrait touchscreen infotainment system, which comes as standard, running the latest version of Ford's Sync infotainment platform with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's mounted on hinges so that it can be fixed flat upright or reclined up to 30 degrees. And if you do that, then it also frees up an extra storage tray. The screen controls most key functions and has a permanently visible and accessible climate control interface. The Explorer also gets some physical buttons and haptic controls, including an illuminated slider for the volume. But we still think this interior looks rather short on simple physical controls, which always makes things much easier to use while driving.
The styling is chunky and not too fussy in profile, with wheels measuring from 19 to 21 inches. The C-pillar has an interesting translucent effect that mimics the shark's fin on the original Explorer while improving visibility in the back of the cabin.
Around the back, a lot of presence on this car, very American. Ford really leaning into their kind of rugged aesthetic history here, but it's got these clear visors at the side with these 7-shaped LED lights and high-level brake light just up here integrated into a reasonably large upper spoiler section, and again, the Explorer badge tucked away in this black horizontal strip. The thing that I noticed though is that the bumper doesn't actually stick out very far. It's all fairly low profile, fairly well concealed, despite having all the requisite crash testing in order to keep passengers safe. I'll open the boot, and as you can see, it's got a fairly large boot, in this case 450 litres, very sizable, and you've got some underfloor storage underneath with a thin area down here for storing even more stuff. Not massive, but plenty of flexibility. It's a decent size.
The options have not yet been confirmed, but Ford is targeting a maximum range of around 310 miles, which is quite a bit down on the maximum range of the Mustang Mach-E. The Explorer is expected to offer an entry-level 52 kWh battery, as well as a 77 kWh unit. And these are the same batteries you'll find in an ID4. Buyers will get a choice of 3 power outputs. The entry-level model has 168 brake horsepower from a single electric motor driving the rear wheels. The mid-range option boosts power to 282 brake horsepower. The 335 brake horsepower range-topping version adds a second motor to the front wheels, giving the Explorer 4-wheel drive and more power than any version of the ID4.
Look in the back, loads of space back here. That front seat's adjusted for me, and just look at the amount of legroom I've got to play with. That's a lot. And headroom, very generous as well, despite it having a metre squared of panoramic glass sunroof. We'll have to wait and see whether that makes it into the final car, but loads of headroom and also loads of light being let into the cabin as well. Again, you've got this fake leather material which looks quite nice and feels quite nice. You've also got the customary cup holders down here with easy access to the boot, a couple of USB ports. The thing that I'm not a massive fan of though is the foot position. So look at my legs, they're slightly angled upwards. That's because there are batteries in the floor of this car, and that raises the floor slightly, which means that my feet are higher, which isn't ideal, but certainly not a deal breaker.
So that is everything we know about the new Ford Explorer. Tell us what you think of this new EV in the comments below.